I've been waiting to test this out somewhere that actually deserves it. Lightwish sent me their travel watercolor kit a couple weeks ago, and instead of just swatching it at my desk, I packed it up and drove out to Golden to see what it really could do. If you've ever tried to paint on location, you know that ease of use and simple but crucial supplies can really either make or break a travel kit earning a spot in your art bag. So today we're finding out which one this kit is, live out by the river in Golden, no do-overs. Okay, let's rewind a few days. This is the set Lightwish sent over before it ever left the house. It comes in this little zip case, which honestly is the first thing I look at with a travel set, because if it doesn't protect itself, it's not really a travel anything. So inside you've got the paper, a pull-out palette area, a water brush, pencil, tiny spray bottle, and a water cup. A little bit about why this matters to me. I'm Laura McCullough, and beyond this channel, I run Art and Faith Creative Retreats. Painting on location is honestly where I feel most like myself as an artist. There's something about faith and creativity that just clicks into place when I'm outside, away from my desk, working with whatever light and time I've got. So when a travel set shows up, I'm not just testing swatches, I'm testing whether it can keep up with how I actually want to create. All right, let's get back to Golden. Okay, real talk, I did not get to finish this piece in Golden because my parking was about to expire and a ticket was not part of the video budget. But honestly, this is where a travel kit like this earns its keep because everything just folds back into one case, brush and all, and I'm out the door in under a minute, or I'm back to my car. No hunting for loose caps or wondering if I left a pan open in my bag. Honestly, the weather could not have been more perfect for this. I thought it was going to rain, and so I was a little worried about that, but it was warm, there was a little breeze, and I found a spot right along the river to set up. And I love water, but there is just something about painting near water. You just settle into a different frame of mind. And at one point I looked up and there were people floating by on their inner tubes just soaking in the scenery right along with me. So that was a fun moment where I almost forgot that I was filming a video because it was just me and the river and everyone having a great time. So this is as far as I got on the painting in Golden. But when I went back home, I realized I had taken a few photos for reference, but they were horizontal versus vertical. So I just went into my photo app and I switched the orientation from horizontal to vertical so that it would match what I was painting. And then it's easier for you to see all the details of what was there when you were painting. So here's where I finished it up when I got home back at my own desk. Now this is the same Lightwish watercolors and brush for the final layers. And then I wanted to bring in some colored pencils because typically I am a mixed media artist. I don't just use one medium. So I'm adding the colored pencils to add more detail and texture on top of everything once it was dry, which it was dry before I even left Golden. Now a couple of honest notes. I mostly work in gouache for my plein air painting, so switching to watercolor and this specific paper took me a minute to get comfortable with. And that's just me, it's not a knock on the kit. I do think that the paper quality itself is really good, and the color range was a solid color range for the watercolor paints, though it doesn't come with a white, which I thought was a little strange, but maybe white is something that I use more in gouache than I would in watercolor. And I will say that this watercolor was good. I'm not, again, a professional at watercolor, so I couldn't give you a true professional review on the quality of the watercolor, but I think it worked great. I also want to call out the little details in this kit because it all felt very thoughtful. So the pencil, the water cup, the spray bottle, the water brush, and regular paintbrush, all of it felt intentional, like whoever designed this actually paints on location themselves. So here are a couple of my thoughts and tips on this kit. The water brush that came with it wasn't my favorite, and I actually forgot to test the regular paintbrush when I was out in Golden. I did since try it out, and it does hold quite a bit of water, and with the size 12 brush it can do a lot. It has a nice pointed tip, yet it worked almost like a mop brush that holds a lot of color. But I would suggest bringing your own paintbrushes if you have your favorites, because most of us do. And the good news is that there's actually room in this kit to swap in your own if you would like, because it has 4 elastic bands that can hold items. Another tip of mine would be when you're setting up this kit, you don't need every piece of watercolor paper in the kit unless you plan to be gone a really long time or painting a ton. I actually took out almost half of the amount of paper in this kit, and it helped keep the kit lighter and easily closable. So I would just leave some of the paper back at home to add in when you're running low. So that's the Lightwish Travel Watercolor Set. There's a link down below if you want to check it out for yourself. I think it's a great gift for yourself or for someone that you know that likes to paint. And you can use the code down below for a discount when you order. So let's take a look at the finished piece. I want to say a thank you to Lightwish for sending me this watercolor kit. It was so fun to try it out, and I loved using it. Now, before I go, I did want to mention that our 2027 Creative Retreats are officially open for registration, and they are selling out fast. We've got Bellagio and Lake Como, Italy. We have Paris and Honfleur in France. And we have a fall retreat back in Bellagio that heads to Venice first. So if you've ever thought about joining one of our retreats, now is the time to grab your spot, because I don't expect them to last long and we usually sell out. So there's links below for that as well. And next Saturday's video is all about travel journaling. I'm getting ready for another trip, so I'll be walking you through how I prep my journal and supplies before I go, and you won't want to miss that one. So thanks for following along today, and I will see you next Saturday.